So nothing really surprising here.
No, the Caitlyn ban is something that, because Unicorns apparently hasn't had any success or hasn't even played on stage so far, so maybe not something they are entirely comfortable with, they ban it away.
All right, let's see what the last few bans are. Fiora taken off the table. That's obviously one of those combative dueling top laners. I see Gangplank still up, Sejuani up. It's going to be Galio as a final ban. Yeah,
Galio is a good ban. I don't know if they have any kind of insight on what Unicorns are swimming with, but in general, Galio always has the ability to roam early on, always has the ability to basically back up your teammates, especially split pushers in the top lane.
So, split pusher or not, that'll be the question. Tristana's up. She was first rotationed on red side in the previous game, still remains a top tier pick, and wouldn't be surprised that gets locked in.
Yeah, that champion is still so safe no matter what the changes are, unless they nerf the W, which they haven't. So yeah, it's just a safe go-to pick. He has played in the past, he has found success with it, Yeah. Nothing too surprising.
Insta-locks from H2K. What does that tell you about picks and bans?
I don't like the Ezreal pick. I think they're just going to try to hit the 3-item power spike and just play around that, because for them, Ezreal is a poke champion. He's not necessarily going to win lane against the Tristana, but Sejuani rotation just means they're probably going to go for team fights.
All right, Shook, of course, has played Sejuani twice. This will be the third time. Unicorns of Love now looking to respond. Kold has his most played champion in the Jarvan, which is available to him if he decides to. And Exileh, even though Azir is a little bit nerfed, a little less successful maybe on the patch, gonna go for that comfort, something he's played a lot this week.
Yeah, and last week he definitely had an insane performance on it. I've always criticized Exileh really happily, almost, because I think he was someone that was almost like also slightly offensive, I think, towards me once on social media, so I had to pay him back. But no, he's someone that really stepped up to the occasion, and he has really, really shown what he can do. Now the Jarvan being picked up, not too surprising, with Oscarna being out, Zach J4 should still be the priority champions in the jungle after those two picks are out.
All right, so J4 it is. Gonna wait for Selfie to see what he locks in, but I mean, Exileh, even from the beginning of the split, has seen progression, has seen improvement. We were talking about how he's still making some bold calls. I remember him flashing into the Raptor camp last week. Now that was one very brave / bad call, but the rest of the game was actually pretty good. He had some good combos. He's stepping up where he needs to.
I mean, he giveth, he taketh. You know, he kind of tanked the early part of the split to basically give it back to his team later on. And yeah, he still has to work on the consistency. But I do like that both Kold and Unicorns decided that, hey, we're going to make Exileh our main carry, even though he has failed a bit in the past.
All right, so of course, if they can unlock him, we know Samux has also the ability to play well. He's got that game changer in Tristana. It's once again going to be an Azir versus Corki matchup. We'll see how much the mid lane actually changes. I was hoping to see a little bit more of the new itemization, personally. But we'll get some more chances later today. Alyssa again and Janna in phase 2. So that's the same as game 1.
Yeah, Janna is surprising to me. Maybe that's something that has been basically an evolution in scrims where bottom lanes, especially towards the late game, especially when you have the Corki plus another AD carry obviously on the map, that you don't want the Janna on the enemy team because there's so much protection that she offers, so banning it does make sense.
I also, I'm going to be a little bit obnoxious this game, I think. But I also think the Monsoon and the Howling Gale can help protect a Banner Baron minion. I know I'm going a bit deep down the rabbit hole, but it's very exciting to me on a new patch. I know that it was actually played last night, I believe, in the NA Challenger scene, the contender scene. But regardless, we'll get to that later.
Can he still shield minions?
I don't know for sure. Yeah. So take a look. It's another 2 support bans. Tarek and Zillion taken off the table. But obviously, Braum's still up there. I know you really like Braum as a champion.
Yeah, he's just broken, honestly. He does so many things that can basically block from the team. Sadly, we may not see it be locked in, but Braum, he offers so much protection. He offers a lot of early game kill potential that he cannot play against. We see the Sion locked in again. I do hope that Unicorns actually opt for the Braum, because in their comp, protecting the Azir and Tristana allows you to basically just like run rampage in team fights.
I just took a quick look over at the stats. Amazing. Janna is currently the 4th most banned champion in solo queue.
Really?
So taking over the solo queue along with Sion, along with Volibear, which I still want to see. Cho'Gath was also banned in the previous game. An option to run it. Cho'Gath into Sion could be tank v tank. The previous option was Ornn, of course, from game 1 of the day. And there's that Braum locked in.
Yeah, I didn't like the Braum choice, the Ornn choice last game necessarily. Like, obviously it worked out in the end, but I think Cho'Gath may actually be higher priority now, simply because he offers safe tank sets that are going to scale, obviously, as the game goes on due to his feast, and there's no counterplay to that. So him having true damage, a lot of tankability, and just another form of protection where you can silence the front line or even just feast the back line and offer safety through that.
What do you like to play into Braum?
Nothing.
Okay.
No,
okay.
It's really hard. I think range champions in general, like just not too many melees, because I do think that, especially early game, playing a lot of melees into Braum is really dangerous, where especially if you have a melee jungle, like you're probably gonna run into situations where you cannot contest the 2v2 on the bot side or the 3v3 on the bot side, so there's no way of shutting that down. So yeah, just run a lot of range, basically force shield out and then engage upon the enemy team.
All right, let's see whether or not H2K can make that happen. They got themselves the Sion, got themselves the Sejuani, a very reliable front line, then a lot of poke. Corki, Ezreal, Karma. Over on the other side of UOL, it's a little bit more engaged. Jarvan as well as Braum, they want to jump in.
I love the Karma pick, actually. Now thinking about, because for them, it's just all about mobility and escaping the J4, the Cho'Gath, the Braum, all those melee champions that cannot get to you. It's basically a similar concept to the Janna pick that would have been probably done if it wasn't banned. So basically, just like all your champions can run around like they want to and damage the enemy team.
For the H2K comp, do you think it's fair to say it's a kite and fight comp? Sort of waits to be engaged on, peel back?
Yeah, not even. Like, they can actually look to engage. They just have a lot of poke basically to come forth first and foremost, where basically they have to get a couple of rockets on, a couple of mystic shots, and a couple of karma Qs, where if the enemy team is low enough, then they can engage. But yeah, ideal case scenario, I do think that they shouldn't necessarily look for the engage before they get poked down.
Got the ability to do so. Exileh, the man on your screen, the man that has been improving over the last 6 weeks of games. And of course, Selfie, most recent, second most recent substitution for H2K. Behind Shook, the Shook effect.
Is it still active?
That's the question. Because his first week they went 2-0, and last week, while they went 1-1,
they shouldn't have.
It maybe shouldn't have. It was a phenomenal comeback. But I mean, is the Shook effect still active?
I do think it's still active. Like, obviously compared to, I don't want to trash talk K or whatever, but he was clearly out of his element coming from mid lane to the jungle. It was not his expertise. So Shook offers that difference in almost like solo queue approach, because he's someone, even though he has had a lot of competitive experience, where he's now coming in almost as a fresh solo queue jungler, where he has the blue smite, red smite down, and he's going to make a difference continuously now, especially on this patch. Okay,
talking about blue smite, red smite. Red smite for Kold. Where does Shook go on Sejuani?
I'm actually not quite sure if he goes red smite.
Ooh.
For me, it's always like, if I'm playing a champion that has a gap closer, sure, maybe red smite is better because you already have that ability to get to the enemy team, but the blue smite basically makes the chase down easier. So if you don't want to use the EQ to go in, you can just blue smite, force a flash potentially. So it's always down to preference and in the moment decision making.
And you know, blue smite could also help Kold out, because last week when we did some practice casts, amazing, Kold didn't really hit a lot of his flag. there was a few missed combos last week.
Yeah,
blue smite will help you out a little bit there, won't it?
He definitely could have hit more. I think he had the amazing syndrome right there. Where you just like go E and Q, and if it happens and you actually hit, you're like, oh, I'm a god. If it doesn't hit, you're just like, yeah, that happens. So,
it does sometimes. So we'll see what they decide to go in a moment or two. Promisq and Sheriff, they got some early poke onto Samux and Totoro. Looks like they're also shoving this wave in. So some respect by Samux and Totoro, obviously playing into the poke. And then Braum is going to wait for a couple of levels, wait for the ability to look to engage if he wants to.
Yeah, and what I really want to point out right now is that they actually put a ward over the Drake, that they kind of expect this early game coming from blue into red into the bottom side. They now see Kold, and there's no ways they're going to die to that gank.
So fantastic preparation from H2K, fully aware of Kold's positioning. That ward is just about to die. Corpse pops up, and as long as Kold's looking at his screen, he spotted that. Depends on what other direction he's looking. Sheriff, of course, Kleptomancy, he's already got himself some early laning pots, which are just going to be so annoying to deal with.
Yeah, Kleptomancy is not something I want to play against. That's why I'm jungling. So I don't have to lane against it and see my enemy laner get gold, pots, whatever it is, and just fill up his itemization. So yeah, but what I also found interesting is that HK actually pushed out the bottom lane by the second wave, so even if they wouldn't have had that ward, they would have still been in a perfect position.
What do you think of Selfie taking the teleports on his Corki? He's obviously got fleet of footwork, no unsealed spellbook. What sort of impact is that going to have on the mid to late stage of the game?
You can always just look to pop the package and then TP somewhere, maybe behind the team or on the side. So basically have that perfect cutoff, similar to a Talia ult, and just enable the team to get off ganks, especially on the bot side of the map. But yeah, Corki with TP, nothing too surprising. Still something worth mentioning.
Do you like it? Like, is there an alternative into some of the damage coming down? Maybe a cleanse or a heal or something like that?
I think if you're really antsy, just go for the ignite and try to kill your enemy. But I don't think that happens too much. Though it's synergized well if you need some lane sustain, because now hold my theory. You have the triumph in the precision tree, so if you kill the enemy, you get HP out of it.
Ooh, there we go. Let's see whether or not the kills will happen. Obviously, game 5 today, by the way. Misfits versus Fnatic. That is the match of the week. 2 Worlds quarterfinal contenders. Miracle run from Fnatic last year. They're currently undefeated in EU LCS for 7 games. And we'll see who's going to come out victorious today. That's a few games away. Before then, Unicorns and H2K, they're in their own battle. Because at 4 wins and 8 losses, they're tied for 9th place. But you know, technically they could still make playoffs.
Yes, both teams could theoretically make playoffs, but I do think that the road per se is a lot harder for UOL. Like if we think about the schedule that they have later on, they have obviously H2K now, then they have Schalke, Vitality, Fnatic, G2, and Misfits. So they basically play the top 2 teams and a supposed top 3, top 4, and top 5 teams. So basically that schedule is really, really tough.
But that kind of implies that you think if anyone were to do it, it'd be H2K. Why is that?
Because I don't think it's as much of a miracle. I think the schedule is a lot easier, where they play Misfits, G2, obviously both matching, but then they play Splice, Schalke 04, and Rocket. And Rocket and Splice and Schalke, all of them kind of seem a bit iffy, whereas on the other side, obviously, G2, Fnatic, and Vitality, yeah, it's actually a toss-up. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's a toss-up. It's really just tough to predict. It's
so tough, and especially when it's a new patch, especially when Vitality have been crashing for so long, you don't know what they're going to do. So we'll have to see. I mean, this game will give us a little bit more insight. Unicorns on a 3-game winning streak. The best 4 and 8 team the EU LCS has ever seen. That's not a difficult thing to say, because generally 4 and 8 teams are not.
They were definitely the best 1 and 8 team, though. Like but now it's a bit different. I think we've had a ton of 4 and 8 teams.
Fair enough. The competition is greater for that title, is what you're trying to say.
Going 1 and 8, you're amongst the likes of Rocket,
who?
Origin.
I tell you what, I don't want to explore that further, because there were some mysterious monkeys back in the day as well. Kold's going to get rooted up by Braum from Promisq. First blood picked up by H2K.
Yeah, just a surprise roam from the Karma on the bottom lane. Obviously the CC combo, just getting the Mantra W down. Then obviously have Shook follow up and get the CC. There's no escaping that.
Absolutely none. Kold unfortunately loses his flash as well. So he has a replay. More importantly, look at the minimap.
Oh god.
Promisq was there in time.
Yeah, he didn't expect the roam, I think, because like Braum kind of has the river control to a certain extent, but going for an EQ, if you're not sure if you're gonna hit it, puts you in such a tough spot, because you're caught out, you have no escape, and he doesn't run blue smite, so he can't run away.
No, can't run away, doesn't have that CC. And of course, Kold as well has had some troubles in the early game. I remember last weekend, the red invade that he tried to pull off backfired. I believe he gave it first blood on the Saturday game as well. But importantly and crucially, Unicorns bounced back. They found a way to get back in the game.
Yeah, to actually just understand Trash to a certain extent, or Kold now obviously, is that sometimes you get too comfortable with your mechanics. You play solo queue, especially because the solo queue players are usually worse than your scrim teammates and scrim opponents, where you get comfortable trying skill shots that they would normally run into if they just play like solo queue players. So him just going for those EQ tries is not surprising.
Not that time. Let's see what anything else happens here. Sheriff, Arcane Shift to safety. Promisq going to use that inner flame to zone away Samux. And Totoro ends up actually coming off worse for wear. I mean, Samux and Totoro went in, they come out with less HP.
Yeah, but they did force the flash out from Promisq, so for them it's really easy to follow it up now. J4 is going to hit the level 6 and Braum also.
Alright, we've not talked a lot about the top laners, who are both level 7.
It's boring.
Cho'Gath versus Sion, why is it boring?
Because both just hit one another. It's a wet noodle fight. Obviously, they still do a bit more damage than they used to, because like in the past we had wet noodle fights were actually just like indefinitely. They didn't stop. So now you actually have that limit where you can probably die if you mistrade too much, but to me, the tank versus tank matchups are still a bit boring. I think top laners in general are not that really involved in the game, where the junglers don't really gank for them, and especially in tank-to-tank matchups, it's useless.
What's the trigger? When do they become involved? Is it like after the first tower? Is it? I know roaming obviously is one of the tools, or teleport play, but what else?
I think it's down to individual players too. Like some players like to play more aggressive, more in the enemy phase. Someone like Soaz, who even in tank versus tank matchups, still finds a lot of playmaking with Broxah, but I think they miss their timing by now, because when you have these like HP items, you stack up with the passives, obviously, off of Sion's W and Cho'Gath's ultimate, where they get some HP in, you're not really going to kill them anymore. So I think they missed the timing, but they're going to come back alive once the first turret drops.
Yeah, of course, missing that timing on Kold's side because he gave a first blood on that gank. You don't know what else could have happened after. First package is now picked up by Selfie, and that means he can use it to further this lead. H2K are up 1,400 gold, plus 12 CS in the bottom lane for Sheriff, plus Kleptomancy, and of course First Blood on the side of Promisq. It's just a very good opening to the game here for H2K.
And Ezreal really got unlucky, actually. He doesn't even have that much gold from the Kleptomancy. He basically has like the wave advantage, but yeah, like overall, they basically just they've been flying well, and now with the package, obviously, they should find a trigger point and maybe play towards the bottom side of the map.
The man who has to face down Selfie with that package. I'll get to in a moment, because both junglers are sniffing around here.
Please don't EQ again. Don't EQ.
Ooh, can't afford to miss it. Not going to go in. Promisq starting to leave the lane.
This time he has backup though.
All right, are you sniffing out a fight at? Well, yes is the answer, because Selfie runs straight into Totoro. That's the package instantly used, but it had to be defensive.
I like that. I think it's really good when the package timing is on. Sometimes you fall into the behavior that you're almost like too defensive, because you expect the proper roam from the Corki to your lane. So you're like, oh, I'm scared for 1 minute because he has the package. So playing towards him and forcing that out of him is really intelligent.
And the rest of the Unicorns keep playing towards Exileh. Winter's Bite goes out, but will not sink its fangs into any targets. Unicorns, they're still sticking around. 3, 4 members at times. In and around this river. Ocean Drake is available as well.
Yeah, it's really, really good that this time around they learn out of the mistake and they're actually roaming together. I don't think they're going to look to start the Drake, but they're going to look to control mid to bottom lane completely.
Well, that's exactly what's happening. Unicorn's going to shove H2K away. And the first roam might be on here. Smittyj just moving down, just placing a control ward. Every time I see a long straight line on Sion, I'm just thinking of the ultimate. It's like he's going to fly all the way down. And on this skin, it looks fantastic. Just that gigantic mech, like Transformer.
I still have nightmares about Sion, because I remember when we tried to qualify with Origin, I think in the, was it like...
promotion tournament?
Yeah, not promotion, it was like the actual CS qualifiers. We almost got wrecked by Sion, and we lost 1-0 and had to claim back. So Sion is still a champion that I respect a lot, because whenever you have that straight line, you just drive it down and you hope for the best.
Yeah. As long as you start in the right direction, it'll be fine. And talking about being fine, Exileh, by the way, starting to roam from that mid lane. The Unicorns have played around him a lot. We've got some stats of his kill participation and his damage per minute. Look, from weeks 1 through 4, 60% kill participation increases to 80%. Damage per minute from 500 to 820. And while his deaths per game go up a marginal amount, we've just seen improvement in growth. And that's a good thing, and that's why Unicorns are on a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to just like talk about the deaths per game. I think that we can leave out. I think his playmaking has just been increasing. It's been more of a focal point for his team, even more so than before. And finally, he's actually showing some late game promise, where he's not just basically trying to do a play, but he's actually playing towards his team and waiting for his chances to deal out damage.
We'll keep our eyes on where he goes. Right, EQ in, as well as the Cataclysm. Sheriff is going to flash to safety. Gets stunned up. He's in trouble. Totoro tags with the Winter's Bite, and the Buster Shot sends him packing. The teleport is cancelled, and the Love Hurts crew go mad as Unicorns find 2.
Yeah, finally the J4 again coming in bottom and hits the level 6 spike. He knows that Karma's flash was just on the CD for another couple of seconds, gets the gank off, gets both in the ultimate, and they chunk both out.
Oh, so well played by UOL. Easy double kill. 1 for Samux, 1 for Kold.
Sharing is caring.
Here we go, and here's a replay of the setup. I mean, it just looks flawless.
Yeah, it was perfectly executed. The Braum ultimate obviously didn't hit anyone, but it didn't need to. It just slowed the people down. He got the tags on both of them, so that meant they're going to be easily chased and taken down.
Oh, that also means they're going to be pushed away. Now, unfortunately for Unicorns, they didn't go for the Dragon. instead opted to backspend that money, and H2K will pick up this Ocean Drake. So that will be something back. But the double kills for Unicorns means the gold gap is closed. And Smittyj started to channel his teleport. I also noticed running that Glacial Augment on the Sion. So we're seeing that 2 games in a row. Amazing.
Yeah, it's again melee into melee, so nothing too surprising. You just want to get the extra slow and maybe have the ability to gank early on, which Glacial Augment obviously enables.
Banner of Command, second item. Do you think so?
Is he already building towards it?
Potentially.
Yeah,
yes.
Potentially. Unless it's Merc threats.
Could go.
We'll see. We'll
see. There we go. Merc Trades is the answer. So completes as well that Abyssal Mask. So Smittyj, very tanky. Going to be dealing with some of that AP damage. WhiteKnight also Abyssal Mask. That was the same itemization as the previous game, albeit it was Ornn into Sion. Now for Unicorns and H2K, no real tower threat yet. Nobody's really chipped away a huge amount. It's nearly 15 minutes into the game, and we're about even. So if you were to wager which tower were to fall first, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. I do think that Unicorns should actually get the H2K's bottom turret before the enemy team, because for them it's just way easier to set up ganks and set up the plays, because they do have the ability to just shut down Sheriff if the Braum just gets onto him, or the Tristana gets onto him.
Okay, so let's see what they do. Selfie is going to be helped out by Shook here for the blue buff. Kold and Exileh watching in the wings. Kold was thinking about it. He was really thinking about going over the wall. You could tell Totoro and Samux coming up from the river. All of the vision placed by Unicorns. They really want Samux and Totoro to play forward and be safe in the game.
I like the aggression. I think it's really good for new Unicorns to actually not just rely on the late game scaling, which could obviously fall into. They're obviously trying to stay in the moment and always trying to make plays.
And you know, Unicorns have just been playing well as a team over the last few weeks. Let's see what they can do to save Kold. He's just going to get chunked down. Even tried to put the Cataclysm out. There goes Exileh, flashes forward, gets the flash out of Shook. The soldiers are flying forward. Glacial Fissure comes down for Kold's sacrifice. Exileh finds a double.
Another double kill for Unicorns. Obviously, an iffy setup, but they had the TP ward behind them and shut him down.
Man, what a fantastic TP. This could be tower first blood as well, and this will be a potential gold lead as we enter the mid game. I thought Kold was caught out, and as it turns out,
there's no
the right thing to do.
Second time now that Smittyj had to cancel this TP, just trying to save his teammates, and they have to be more coordinated. HK have to actually anticipate more plays of the enemy team and respond appropriately.
Oh, such a good decision from UOL. They don't get the tower though. Smittyj's unstoppable onslaught is going to be enough. Promisq gets caught by the buster shot. I was wondering whether or not that W route was going to come in, and here's just a replay of this, just great teleport, really. Yeah,
it was surprising. Like, I thought Kold still had his EQ combo up, and he should have, but he didn't get it down. It was too late and too little. And then obviously the chase down with Exileh, trying to make the Azir insect happen, and then the Braum, Cho'Gath, Tristana chase down out of the bottom priority, makes it happen.
Such a nice play there, and both kills land in Exileh's back pocket. So Nash's Tooth completed to match the Trinity Force of Selfie. And all of a sudden, Shook is making his way down bottom, but Kold's there as well. I don't really think there's tower dives on the cards. Neither ultimates are available, so there's like not enough tools to make anything happen.
Yeah, now the party should actually shift for Unicorns. I think that mid lane turret is way easier to get than anything else. It's already low, so them just trying to get maybe like the Azir to push up mid lane, get some wards down in the river, and allow their bot lane to roam again.
And we'll see where Samux goes. If he gets unlocked, if he gets to roam, no towers down yet. Still long game. Oblivion Orb picked up by Exileh, gets some of that flat magic pen. And now he's in trouble. Cleanse comes out. Easy sliding lines.
Yeah, if you're caught out as Azir and you have the cleanse, you're still going to be fine if you pull off the combo perfectly, and he did so.
Yeah, exactly. Uses those sand soldiers to make his way out. So the Unicorns of Love now doing what we've seen a lot, using their team play, using their communication, their cohesiveness as a squad to bounce back from an early deficit. Because it really has been the case for pretty much every single one of their most recent games.
Yeah, what I like about Unicorns is finally the evolution from an individual team where they rely on Kold basically to carry, to actually have the whole team chime in.
There you go. The whole team rocks up. They take tower first blood, just forcing Selfie away. They made that just look easy.
There was no counterplay whatsoever. Now they have the turret down the mid lane. They get the Azir turret up instead, and then they have easy access to the bottom side of the map, and I think that should be the next play.
Okay, so let's see what H2K do to defend. They're down 500 gold. Unstoppable Onslaught comes down. Remember, there's no cleanse, there's no flash. Will not find a target. The Emperor's Divide will buy a lot of time. Shook does not have his ultimate available. Kold throws down the Cataclysm to buy time. And that's a very easy escape for Exileh.
There's so much desperation seemingly on H2K's side where they try to make plays that are just not going to work if the enemy plays well. And Exileh, you can try to find mistakes in him, but generally, by today, there's no such thing.
Well, when we were talking about this matchup, amazing, and we were discussing how Unicorns are getting better as a team, their cohesiveness, one of the things that you mentioned to me was that H2K were not a cohesive team, or they relied a little bit more on individual play. Why is that?
I'm not sure. I think maybe down to the players, maybe down to the solo queue experience of Shook and Selfie, that they kind of almost like unlearned the way of communicating with your teammates, which is something that happens because if you're in a solo queue setting all the time, you become extremely self-reliant. You try to force plays on your own because you have to win the game on your own to a certain extent because there's no voice communication coming in. So I think that may be the issue for them right now, where they have to relearn everything they unlearned.
I mean, it's important to note, this is Shook's 5th game with the team. I believe it's Selfie's 7th game with the team, so it's you know, half of the split for Selfie. But importantly for Shook, it's only his 3rd weekend. He's currently 3-1 with H2K, so it's a good record. One of those wins was a little bit lucky. Here's Sion's ultimate. Now, will he hit the targets? Nope.
The wall.
Yep, that's
bad driver.
That's a definition of Facebook. I think he wanted to, though, to be fair. The minions was the real target.
Probably.
It has to be.
I'm going to revoke his driver's license no matter what.
What about the banner license in the top lane?
I'm going to invoke that one.
Invoke it. Invoke it. Okay. Unicorns of Love. Banner is pot 1. Baron is pot 2. How do they set up for that with what is a very, very even game?
Yeah, good question. I do think that they're going to just try to get that top turret down because you don't want to set up Nasher too early. If you do before they have the first tier of turrets down, that basically means that the enemy still has easy access to the Nasher. So for them, get the top turret down, get the vision down, and then play for it.
All right, top tower and vision. That's always the case. Vision score again, by the way, heavily in favor of the blue side. Kold, 35 vision score so far, 22 on the side of Shook. Just like tracking how effective it can be in the different matchups, especially because Tracker's Knife is gone now. So you kind of have to think a little bit more about vision from the jungle.
Yeah, Kold is still really trashy by heart, and what I mean by that is that he still has this instinct to get the vision down and deny enemy vision a lot, because that was his role on Spice, and I don't think that really changed, even though he has been more of an individual carry now.
Yeah, definitely the case. WhiteKnight already with Banner of Command. You can see that minion has been thrown down, and Smittyj is going to do his best to kill it. I mean,
it's going to take forever.
It's going to take such a long time.
Feel bad for him.
I'm trying to see like how many auto attacks it would take. 3, 4, like that's going to be in the 20s. Maybe he can use the Roar of the Slayer, the Sion E.
Yeah, and just push it back every time.
Actually, no, because it's immune to magic as well, so I don't think that you can. There's going to be a catch out there in the jungle. Oh, very good flash over the wall from Shook. Locked down by Kold. Donated to Samux. He's going to rocket jump forward, and Promisq, luckily, has a blast cone available to him. Will not need it. He's able to escape, but Samux, he gets his second of the game.
Yeah, they finally got the pick they wanted. They didn't even need to take the top two down for them to start Nasher.
Oh man, this is a little... Well, it's not risky. There's no smite to contest.
And they have a Cho'Gath 2 ultimated.
Oh, Cho'Gath Feast plus smite. This should be a Unicorn's Baron's going low. Feast secures it. And that's going to be the good call. Sheriff escapes with the Arcane Shift. And Smittyj completes the teleport. Selfie's looking to get some damage down as the Soul Furnace shield comes out. Face plant for Smittyj. Will not find the CC. Unicorns seem to have escaped for now. The Unbreakable Shield comes up, and they've made it out. H2K, they don't fancy their chances. They can't get through the divide, and Unicorns take a 22-minute Baron.
Yeah, just one single pick. If you have the Cho'Gath and the Azir on your team, you have enough damage, enough security to get that Nash down. Easy pick, easy Nasher, and that should be voting well for them.
Oh, such a good decision from Unicorns. Their team play, their communication. They played well since Kold got caught out for that first death, and now they're in, there we go. They're in absolute command here. And they're going to use that Banner of Command to go further.
Yeah, Shook thought he had an easy ward to just increase his vision score right here, but they warded over the red pit as soon as they knew that he was going to flash over. Followed up on him beautifully. Exileh does everything right. Samux on the chase, and they get the kill.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the Bannon Minion. And the tower's already fallen. It's just insane, actually. I'm still excited by it because it's new to me, Maurice. Woo! It's new to me. We need to see how effectively you deal with this thing, because Totoro is just going to use his shield.
He can't attack it. There's no interaction whatsoever because Sheriff cannot hit it. They block it perfectly.
Oh man, body blocking everything. Oh, use the rupture. There we go. The Roar of the Slayer doesn't actually do anything. And the tower's going to fall. Actually, you know what? Rito, please, hotfix this thing. We have to see.
That Kenman is a better driver than Smittyj, that's for sure.
The thing is, I'm still so impressed because Unicorns are protecting it beautifully. I know it sounds a little memey, but they really are doing everything you should to play around this power spike.
Yeah, and actually now thinking about it, it's just so hard to actually just interact with that minion as soon as it's just blocked a bit, because ranged champions besides ADKs cannot really hit it. Corki kind of there, but still not does the same amount of damage an ADK would do, and Ezreal has no range whatsoever.
No, none at all. And such a difficult situation. So the first inhibitor falls within 2.5 minutes of Baron.
It's gonna be another one.
Gonna be another one. Totoro is building his own banner of command. And we see a slightly different build here for Exileh. He's gone for the Luden's Echo as a second. What do you think?
I think it's good. I think it's smart mainly because I talked about it earlier and kind of winged it, where I said that Luden's should be a preferred choice for Azir right now, and I think it's just a good item choice overall.
What is it specifically that you like?
I like the amount of damage, I like the CR that it has now, and it's basically just meant for poking.
Meant for poking. There we go. Which works when
you have
when your job is to protect the tower killing siege minion, right? What this composition's about. Unstoppable Onslaught comes in. Emperor's Divide sends H2K back. There is a defensive package. Try to clear up the minion wave, but crucially, the Bannon minion survives. One more shot and the tower falls. Smittyj is tagged. 2 more shots will lock him down. Cataclysm comes out, and Smittyj's taken out. His passive will get a couple autos down, but the Unicorns are rampaging forward. It's a 5,000 gold lead, and that minion is still alive. The Unicorns are now setting their sights on the next inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, if you're already down and you kind of have to be scared for an engage, why do you protect the tier 2 turret? You're looking for something that is not there. There's no potential for you to defend it, and they're paying dearly for it.
Oh man, the minion does die this time round, so Unicorns, they cancel the siege and waiting for the cooldowns to come back up, and at 25 minutes, thanks to this play, Unicorns are massively ahead.
Yeah, just a misguided engage. They thought they could take the front line down, but Cho'Gath is so tanky at this point, and Braum offers so much protection that even though they have the package, there's no engage to be found. They lose the turret, and then afterwards, don't stick around. Why do you try to hit that Bannon minion? It does not work.
No, definitely not. Smittyj was needed for the next defense. Now, fortunately, the minion did die, and Baron has now worn off. So there's a few minutes where H2K will get to breathe.
I think they're really stressing out. I think the scaling off of Unicorns now, thinking about it, especially with the Cho'Gath frontline and Braum frontline, is too much for them to handle. And they basically just trying to find plays, equalizing gold lead that I lost earlier, and it's not something you should do. Play safe, play smart, and look for your chance properly, not in a 5v5 team fight.
Yeah, it looked like Selfie cancelled his teleport there as well. Started channeling it as Sheriff looked to be caught out. So that's now slowly starting to burn through. The bottom turret, the 6th of the game, is now falling. There's only the inner bottom lane tower remaining before the base towers. And Unicorns are just using this advantage really well. Look at the total damage dealt to champions this game. Exileh, double that of Selfie, which is just fantastic. But again, he's 2-0-2, he's been enabled, he's picked up a good couple of kills.
Yeah, his Azir has actually been really, really impressive. We've heard Sheepy talk about that Exileh in scrims, and the potential he has is actually really, really high, that he's actually smart about the game, and he's able to play it really well. We haven't seen it on stage so often, but his Azir last week and this week has been clean.
This time around, Unicorns can't really protect that cannon minion. Obviously doesn't have the empowered range from Baron, so took a lot more damage, took a lot more hits. I think it was kicked twice by Smittyj before it finally went down. And that's just going to allow a very safe dragon here. It's only a cloud, it's pretty late, but it's a free objective, right?
Yeah, you just go for the free objective. Now you reset, you get all the bases down, you get the second... No, he didn't buy the second banner, actually. He kind of...
lock it.
That's sad. That's sad. I was excited, because in theory, Unicorn should have the second Nashor for free if they just set up the vision properly. and then obviously finishing with the 2 and minions would be perfect. But they opted for the locket, not necessarily bad choice, and they put the banner of command on the jungle. That's an interesting choice. Probably skates with his E damage too a bit, so it's not too bad.
Well, it's not really the champion stats I think they're buying it
I know,
for.
but
Amazing.
the AP does help out a little sometimes.
The AP on that Jarvan, man, it's going to be helping him out.
The flag is going to hurt.
Oh man, what a great start to the weekend. What an interesting question of how do you deal with it?
You don't. Actually, at this point, it's really hard. You have to get this Nash and you have to contest it. And I think that's going to be on H2K's mind too.
All right, where's the vision? It's all in superiority for Unicorns. There's one control ward that H2K are sitting on, so they know they're not spotted yet. But also, you could see by that vision toggle, thank you observers, H2K were blind. They had no idea where the Unicorns were. And this tension is now starting to build as the Nashor is obviously the focus of both teams.
Yeah, Unicorns is going to try to push up the lane. Maybe find a pick.
Oh my word! Promisq gets dunked down in 2 shots. It's a 3-item Samux with the BF sword.
That was clean by Kold. The EQ flash is getting the flag in round, and then the surprise flash basically under the karma. He's knocked up and he's instantly dead.
Promisq couldn't even flash away. But I think very importantly, Shook with Smite still up. So it's not 50-50 with a feast on the side of UOL, but there is some room for error.
They don't even need him.
Touché.
They just start them. Oh, they waited for the... That's perfectly fine. You just wait for it to come out. So any kind of potential force steal is gone, and Unicorns get an easy Nashing.
Oh man, Baron Nashor number 2. 2 banners of command. The cooldown's available for WhiteKnight. And the Unicorns, they're pushing forward. They're setting themselves up to go on a 4-game winning streak if they can knock over this base. And it's just a very, very good performance. I mean, Exileh.
He's building into Rabadon.
There we go. Double needlessly large rods. He's very confident right now.
Yeah, if I saw that a couple of weeks ago, I would have probably said someone is trolling really hard on my team, building the double needlessly large rod. But now it actually builds it Rabadon, so you're allowed to build it.
I always wondered how 2 sticks turned into a hat.
Just
Interesting question, isn't it?
I mean, it makes sense if you put the... Okay, I cannot show it because the camera is not on me, but it makes sense.
Do it like this and maybe it'll be in the rollout. Is that what you're trying to do? Is that how the cap... People in Berlin can see it. That's how you make a cap from 2 needlessly large rods. We're getting thumbs up from the Love Hurts crew. Thank you for the support.
Make me less dumb. Thank you.
But for the Unicorns of Love now, let's talk a little bit about Exileh because you pitched a slightly crazy theory to me that Exileh and Caps have a fairly similar playstyle.
They have. I think that Exileh and Caps, they came into the leagues in a similar fashion. Obviously, Caps was a little more polished, is still a little more polished right now, but they have similar tendencies. They look for the play every time.
And let's see what Exileh can do this time around. Samux with a very good defensive flash, but it's not going to be enough. He's shut down by Selfie. It's at the cost of Selfie's life. Now Totoro shut down. Double kill for Sheriff. The flank from H2K was perfect, and they've got themselves 3. The chase continues as Exileh and Kold are running for their lives. Flash from Exileh. The slash comes down onto Kold. He's caught out. Flags and drags forward, looking for the kill. Will find it before Exileh shut down, and H2K ace the Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, how do you deal with a double ban minion? Or you just engage on the enemy team, you actually find the pop play, you find the flank, and engage the team fight, and that's just beautiful from H2K.
Now, of course, that's the stall tactic. H2K have to do that again
and again. And wait for the next ban minion on their own team, because they only have 1 ban of command so far, so they definitely need 2 to finish the game. But we see the replay now, we see that the Corki package is coming in. Shook goes unnoticed around the backside with a pink ward, and they shut down the front line. There's no protection whatsoever for the backline either. Tristana gets caught out, Braum gets caught out, Cho'Gath gets shut down, and then the team fight is just over.
Oh, it's just a flawless engage from H2K. Right time, everything landed. They even got the flash from Samux. And as we see Kold and Exileh get run down,
they shouldn't have turned. They should not have turned.
I want you to finish your thoughts. Amazing. Exileh and Cap, similar playstyle. They look for the play. They play forwards.
They play forward in lane. They're aggressive, and they're not afraid to do a mistake. And that's a quality that, even though we kind of criticize Exileh for it a lot, that he's doing the mistakes, just like having the
mindset, right?
Mindset of just like, I want to do a play, I want to be the carry for my team. It's something that's so undervalued in a lot of players. We have a lot of teams where they're losing, and they're not trying to find the play, and Exileh is not one of those players.
And I think it's important to note that what we're seeing is the playstyle and the mindset are similar, the execution and the effectiveness are not. Caps is pulling it off more frequently, more often.
Yeah.
But it's in that same flavor.
Yeah, Exileh is coming into his own now, though. I think actually, if in the beginning of the split, I would have said they have similar playstyles, but Exileh is a lot worse, but now it's a bit different.
All right, Exileh now going to try to turn this one around, sends those Sand Soldiers forward. WhiteKnight found a rupture. The second one does not. E used by Sheriff to escape. His flash is on cooldown, and the Unicorns are able to defend that mid inner turret, and Baron buff has worn off. Now the Unicorns have to deal with the Banner of Command empowered minion as well before they peel away. Theirs is pushing bottom lane, and UOL are setting up for a potential Drake.
Yeah, that's a good setup. Obviously, having the Banner of Command minion down bottom lane, you push for the bottom side to get the Drake down. It's just easy take.
Easy take indeed. No contest yet. The Baron will be coming up in probably about 2.5, 3 minutes. And just a reminder of the standings. We're deep into the playoff race. H2K strength of schedule, theoretically, potentially easier. Unicorns have got a very difficult road ahead, but look how close they are to 6th place. Giants 6 and 7. If Unicorns close this up in 5 minutes, 1 game difference.
Yeah, and for Unicorns, I do still think that they have almost to be the best team in the league for them to actually get to the playoffs, because they have such a tough road. But if they play like this, controlled around Exileh, I think they can actually make it. And I don't think it's as much of a miracle as I portrayed it to be.
Yeah, but when everybody's that close, it makes sense. All right, Kold is now running for his life as he's got that Banner of Command available. So does Totoro, so does WhiteKnight. Baron is up in 2 minutes time, and H2K will get their 3rd tower of the game. Now all of a sudden, H2K, the gold lead doesn't matter. They've got great engage with Sejuani and Sion. How do they secure the Baron for themselves?
They do what they're doing right now, control the mid lane, get into the main jungle, put some wards down, and just contest every time Unicorns is trying to enter, because even though Unicorns are strong, they cannot enter space they don't know.
Nobody go into the darkness. Do not chase into a blind spot. Well, blind spot's generally behind you. A dark spot.
I mean, there's a way that Smittyj has been driving his ultimate so far. He has a lot of blind spots, but...
Oh, man. Smittyj has found one great engage.
Give him that.
Yes, exactly. It was the game-saving engage. Because, of course, last week, H2K, they should have lost that game to Giants. They were behind for such a long time. And Sheriff found the Xayah route that led to a quadra kill that led to them winning at like 60-something minutes. It was insane.
Yeah, that comeback, I have no idea they're going to have it in them. And just him, obviously, the Xayah perfectly, the Feather Storm coming out, getting the route down. There's no kind of play.
And that was sort of how H2K have won a lot of their games, that individual performance, that individual moment, that flash of brilliance. That turns it round. Okay, one banner was used by UOL in the top lane. I see another one on cooldown. I can only assume... I
like how we showcase every single one now.
We're going to.
We're scared.
It's going to be the banner meta for a little while, but it's going to be intrinsically linked to Baron. So Vision this time around is a little bit weak. You can see not the deepest wards, and we're going a little bit ARAM style here. 5v5 in the mid. Totoro and Samux goes all the way forward. Totoro follows with Stand behind me, ironically used aggressively. And Unicorns now that they've got the shove in mid, so they can peel to Baron first.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to necessarily start it. I think they should still have another rotation towards the top side of the map. Get maybe 1 or 2 wards down, but if they want to rush it, they can easily do it because they do have the Azir and Cho'Gath combo that I talked about earlier.
All right, let's see where Kold goes with that engage. Flash, flag drag available. He's used it to great effect several times in a row. And there's the engage. Smittyj going to be starting off. Unstoppable Onslaught catches out Kold. He's forced to flash away defensively. Glacial Fissure buys some time. Emperor's Divide is available to Exileh. He's not used it yet. He's waiting for the engage. The kite and fight and turn around. But it's a fight on 2 fronts. That's a double for H2K. It's at the cost of Selfie's life. Keep your eyes on Sheriff. He's running low. WhiteKnight shuts down Selfie. This is messy and dirty. And WhiteKnight gets another. Unicorns look for the re-engage. The shield from Exileh. That's not enough though, as the damage is already done. Totoro and WhiteKnight are doing the best that they can. And there's Promisq looking to run down WhiteKnight 3-on-1. I don't care how tanky and beefy your Cho'Gath is, he will eventually die.
He may actually have Feast back up before he dies. We'll see.
Cooldown is available. Smittyj is still looking. This is the wet noodle fight. Hit him in the face. WhiteKnight stays alive and finally goes down. H2K have done it.
Yeah, the Corki and Ezreal, the amount of damage they do, but we have to comment on Smittyj's turn because his Q knocked out the 2 carries and enabled that team fight to be a win.
They get Baron now as well, uncontested. 40-second death timer for WhiteKnight. It took such a long time that people are respawning before this can start. Now, to be fair, they will need Selfie to finish that teleport. Please, do make sense of this fight for me, Amazing.
I can't. It's actually too hard, but they found the engage on Kold. Kold is chunked out. He doesn't have the Warmox to basically like recover that HP, and then this turn on the right side, or on the hand side, where Exileh and the AD carry gets caught out, and they both get one shot.
Of course, we have to jump back to live because Samux and Exileh got in range of the Baron. But that was the game equalizing, or maybe game leading team fight for H2K.
Yeah, that may be why Sion is banned or like basically contested in a lot of games where he has that ability to turn around the game even if it's lost because his engages have been great.
And of course this time around Randian's Omen as well as that Frozen Heart going to complement his Glacial Augment so well. Banner of Command available and Baron buff. Now Banner was just used, so H2K, how well do they defend their Banon minion? That's what we're going to start tracking. And what tools do Unicorns have? I mean, Samux's range might be the only real one.
Yeah, they only have Samux's range. They don't have any minion dematerializers anymore because Braum didn't save his for the late game. So they're going to run it down mid lane and they're going to at least get the turret and the inhib.
Gigantic minion wave for Unicorns is pushing in the bottom lane. So if H2K take too long,
they can actually hit it.
They're going to be in trouble. There is a lot of damage onto that Banon minion. Redemption is used defensively for H2K as Unicorns have pushed H2K away. Keep your eyes on the minimap, guys. Unicorns minion wave is pushing really aggressively, and the Azir passive, that Sun Disc, is going to buy so much time into this banner empowered minion, especially when there's only one and it's on cooldown for H2K.
Yeah, they're going to push down mid lane right now. Unicorns can actually establish control again because they still have the one away, but we have to look out for the Elder.
Elder Dragon #1 is going to be contested. 40 minutes on the clock, 5,000 HP. Here comes Smittyj. The unstoppable onslaught finds 2 Cataclysm onto the back line, but it's Smittyj that goes down from beyond the grave. His passive is swinging and punching and trying to chase Unicorns, but the Emperor's Divide is thrown down defensively. Right, top lane is traded, Elder interrupted, but look at the minimap, Amazing. The minions are wrecking H2K's base.
H2K cannot chase into Unicorn's comp. There's no potential whatsoever, and I do think that Unicorns actually have the potential to go for the Drake right now because the Warmox established Cold's HP back.
Oh, H2K don't want to give this one up for free. Shook is nearby with Smite available. Looking at the death time, it's 30 seconds on both top laners, and teleport is up. But this Elder might not survive 30 seconds.
There's a lot of poke on H2K's side that can definitely contest the strength and keep it alive while they're poking down the enemy team.
Oh, gigantic crit there from Samux onto Sheriff. He's continuing to look for the fight. 3,000 HP. The Elder resets. The tension continues to build. It's been tagged, pulled out. 3.5K. Swing and a miss for the True Shot Barrage.
Right now.
Elder's going low. It's reset once again.
They're waiting for Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath has a feast own, and he can definitely secure the strength right now.
All right, Unicorns of Blood minions have already taken down the inhibitor in the middle lane. H2K are losing the map just because of that. Elder secured, used by the feast. Teleport coming in, and that's not enough. Shook is locked down. He's forced to flash out of the Cataclysm. Locked in place by Totoro, and Unicorns, Samux is going for the 1v3.
Yeah, he's on the chase right now, but yeah, beautiful from them to just wait for the Cho'Gath TP, get it down, and take the dragon down.
Man, Unicorns of Love, they've turned this game back on its head. This time around, though, they have to defend because it's the minion wave from H2K pushing in the top lane. And we get a moment to breathe, a moment to catch up. That was a crazy passage of play, Amazing.
Don't know what happened there. Like it was so good for H2K to come to begin with, where they got the pick, but then they overchased and basically paid for it, where they didn't have the right setup for the dragon anymore, and Unicorns capitalized on it.
Oh man, okay, so Baron will be coming up soon. Elder with 2 Cloud Drakes, not the strongest, still counts, still very valuable for the Unicorns of Blood, especially because of how these team fights have played out. They really need to take down Smittyj and Shook in order to win the full fights.
Yeah, I kind of want to see the damage stats again for both Exileh and Samux because the amount of damage they dished out last team fight was insane.
Well, Kold is looking to come in from behind. Sheriff uses that flash early. Promisq as well. Remember, Elder empowered autos and damage. Baron power play from H2K. It ends up being slightly positive. It's not a huge amount. Because, of course, Unicorns, they won the team fight. They got the Elder. They also took sections of the base.
Yeah, I really like Kold's item choice right now, though, because like in comparison to Shook, he actually opted for the what is his item name again? Holy.
The Gargoyle Stoneplate.
The Gargoyle Stoneplate. I forgot about that one.
I got you.
Thank
dude.
you. Struggling
And why do you
but
like it?
Because I do think in terms of like the engages that Unicorns have found so far, Kold has to be in the front line, he has to survive, and no other item will at this point provide him with so much basically effective HP as the Gargoyle Stoneplate will. Because the Knight's Vow won't do that for you.
No, it really will not. On the bright side, having 2 AD carries, well, at least make sure that whoever you target with is going to be helped out a lot. All right, let's see. Banner of Command is available for nobody, in fact, except for Smittyj. Not even going to get needed. Looks to be the case. Don't want to fight into Elder. It's the last few seconds of the buff. Shook and the rest of H2K try to fancy their chances. They've already taken down Exileh. There's not a lot of damage to back it up. Follow Samux in the fight. He needs to stay alive for UOL to turn this, but not without a front line. WhiteKnight is shut down. Totoro is tagged and dunked. He uses Stand Behind Me to try to escape. And H2K, despite losing the inhibitor, they win the following fights.
Yeah, I have no idea how Exileh was so far out of position for him to get one shot with Cleanse and Flash Up. Just a beautiful team fight from H2K. They found the engage that they needed.
Oh, if ever there was an Exileh play, that might be one of them. Unfortunate mistake this late in the game. And
really
this close to Baron as well. Maybe H2K can set up.
They're not going to get anything out of it, but it's because Samux pushed away. But now as we look at the team fight again, they catch up WhiteKnight, and now we have to look at Exileh. Exileh just in the front line, one shot by Corki. He can't do that. He cannot 1v1 an 80 carry at this point of the game because he's just going to trash you.
And this is exactly what you said, Amazing, that you like Corki in the late game. In some comps, it can outscale Azir. Is this kind of one of them?
Yeah, definitely. When you can freely hit the back line, like if they just offer themselves to you, it's definitely an outscaling pick because the surprise damage and the surprise element of it is still there. Corki one-shots kids.
And he just did. All right, okay, so we're now 45 minutes in. The gold lead doesn't matter for UOL, but H2K have to contend with 2 waves of super minions, 3 banners of command, and a Baron that spawns in 20 seconds. Once this picture-in-picture goes away, in a few minutes' time, Elder Dragon number 2 is going to come up. And Amazing, there's been some changes to the Elder Dragon buffs. It gets stronger as the game plays out. How much of a game changer is that now? It
is such a game changer. If you get the second Elder right now, there's no way of contesting it. You do too much damage.
Well, let's see whether or not anybody will. Kold is in trouble. Once again, a defensive flash after getting caught by Shook's ultimate. Selfie takes a couple of autos as WhiteKnight captures the Rupture onto Shook as the fight continues. Look at the shots on the Selfie. Forced to run for his life. He's going to get resurrected thanks to the GA. Shook is down though. Can H2K save him? Sheriff, not going to be enough. Exileh's got himself a double. The Unicorns of Love have found 3 members of H2K and they're barreling down the mid lane.
They finally found the team fight that they needed. H2K was in line, Unicorns was in line, and that's a perfect scenario for Cho'Gath, Braum, Azir comp. We can contest.
Oh, Smittyj just trying to buy time, trying to pull that minion wave and see what Promisq can do to kill out the minions. But in a 5 versus 1, there's no way a support can save the Nexus. Unicorns, they're pushing for the base.
Yeah, it should be over right here, right now, because there's only Promisq left to defend. Unicorns should have an easy path to victory.
What a crazy game for the Unicorns of Love. It looked close at the end, but they were in control for most of it. The Unicorns of Love take down H2K and go on a 4-game winning streak. It is going to be an entertaining weekend.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the amount of banner commands, obviously, but I do have to comment on Unicorn's play. Like, Exileh played badly through some stretches, but he found the amount of damage he needed to do in a lot of team fights, and Unicorns found the engage in the end.
Unicorns keep their hopes for playoffs alive. They keep their hopes for a miracle run to Copenhagen, to the Spring Split Finals. Whether or not Unicorn can make it, who knows?
Playoffs first. That should be their goal for now. Just look to get to playoffs. If that is happening for them, it's already a beautiful kind of comeback story for them.
Going 1-8 to 5-8 right now.
They're pulling some crazy things right now. It's actually insane. I didn't expect them to come back. I expected them to struggle, maybe even like tilt, but they have so much composure, and maybe it's down to the organization just knowing that they can always come back.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, there's been improvements. Unicorns have shown teamwork, they've shown communication growth. We can see it. With the exception of one time really being caught out by Exileh, he's improving week on week on week, and he's been one of the most criticized players in the ULCS for a fairly lengthy period of time. You can't deny his impact when he is playing well.
Yeah, I like that they just keep trusting him. They put him on champions that he seems to be comfortable on. The Azir now, second time coming out and just honestly destroying the opponents.
I loved seeing Promisq and WhiteKnight there just having a hug right at the end. H2K, they dug deep, they fought hard, but unfortunately they lost another game, and they lost that early game as well after one kill. It kind of fell apart. It seems like they still have a lot of work to do if they want to try find a miracle run.
That cohesion in the team has to somehow be brought up. I think they rely too much on the big band to basically carry them to individual success. I don't think that's something you can rely upon every game. You have to find team-wide plays and orchestrate them properly, and that's something that they have to work upon.
Yeah, really, really. There's not a lot of time left. It's week 7, and from here on out, teams are only going to have 5 more games before we end the regular season. We do, of course, have Samux, Kold, and Totoro contesting for Player of the Game. So if you guys want to vote, head over to twitter.com/LOL eSports. You have to click on the vote, and you have to let us know who you think is Player of the Game. Who would you pick?
I would pick Exileh.
Exileh.
He played well.
He did play well, and we'll see whether or not he does. I don't think he's in the running, though, unfortunately. Anyways, when we return, Drakos does talk to Exileh about Unicorn of Love win, and then Shox and Amazing here will talk to you about Spliced and G2's ideal team comps. Before you want